Joining me now is president of the Centre for the American Experiment and founder of the popular Powerline blog, John Hinderaker. John, let's start with the White House investigating former President Joe Biden's use of the autopen, with senior administration officials reviewing tens of thousands of documents turned over by the National Archives and Records Administration. But the former president, he's phoned the New York Times and he claims there's nothing improper about the autopen. He told the New York Times he hadn't personally signed the orders, including those last presidential pardons, because there was a lot of them. What do you make of this story, John? Is there anything to see here?
Well, Rita, first of all, Joe Biden got a hold of the New York Times and gave them an interview because they're trying to get ahead of this story. They know it looks bad. They're trying to get their version out in front of the story. And it is ironic that Joe Biden says, well, there were so many pardons and commutations, I couldn't possibly sign them all. There's too many. I think he did grant a record number of pardons. And what his staff says, what the story is that Biden didn't know the names of the individual people he was pardoning. They would talk about people by category. And the story is Biden would say, oh yeah, pardon everyone in that category. And then they'd have a list of, 1,000 people and they'd work the autopen. And the whole process is it's outrageous. And one thing you'll notice, Rita, is that Joe Biden did sign his family's pardons personally. He knew about those pardons and he did sign.
Well, I think that is a tell right there. I think that was a mistake on his part. If you're going to use the autopen, then don't make an exception for family members. Oh, my goodness. I think that's the greatest scandal of modern American history, the fact that there was a president in the Oval Office who was so cognitively impaired that we really don't know who was running the country. Let's go to a story that impacts Australia, with President Donald Trump planning to increase the tariff rate on pharmaceutical imports to the US. Last year, Australia exported around $2.1 billion of medicinal and pharmaceutical products to the US, but that may change with President Trump determined to see manufacturing return to the US.
Pharmaceuticals will be tariffed probably at the end of the month, and we're going to start off with a low tariff and give the pharmaceutical companies a year or so to build, and then we're going to make it a very high tariff because we got to move them in. Look, there's two ways you do it. You make money or you have them move here so they don't have to pay the tariff. Those are the two ways. The pharmaceutical companies are moving back to America where they should be.
John, it may not be great for Australia, but he's not the president of Australia, and he wasn't elected on an Australia First platform. He was elected on an America First platform, and this is precisely what he campaigned on, returning manufacturing to the US.
So, Rita, part of what's going on here is that we import a huge percentage of our pharmaceuticals, especially our generics, from China. And that's just unacceptable. We can't be in a situation where the Chinese, at best a rival, if not an adversary of the U.S., are in a position to cut off our pharmaceuticals. And yet that's the position that we're in. And I think to some extent, Australia might be a little bit caught on the crossfire here. I don't mind Australia producing drugs for the U.S., but I don't want to rely on the Chinese for it.